Hello, YouTubers. Welcome. I'm going to try to be kind of quiet because my babies just went to sleep and I don't want to wake them up. So we're going to go over three words quickly, three terms quickly, and they're all very related to one another. So we're going to talk about Charles Martel, or Charles the Hammer. We're going to talk about Charlemagne, or Charles the Great. And then we'll talk about the term Holy Roman Emperor, or the Holy Roman Empire. So these three terms are related when we look at medieval Europe, because we're looking at somewhat early medieval Europe and an attempt to regain the Roman Empire in a way that was somewhat failed. Let's start with Charles Martel. So Charles Martel was from the Carolingian dynasty near France, and was important, had the name Charles the Hammer. He was important because his big deal was that he was able to stop the Arab Muslim expansion into Europe. If you recall, around this time, the Arabs had expanded all the way from Arabia across northern Africa and then jumped across the Strait of Gibraltar into Spain in the Iberian Peninsula. And so Charles the Hammer was famous at the Battle of Tours for halting the Muslim advance. So this was a big deal for Europeans because Europeans were kind of trying to keep Europe for Christianity, for Christendom. So a big significant thing is that Christianity at least beats Islam in the Iberian Peninsula and keeps them from getting the rest of the way into Europe. So along with some key victories by the Byzantine Empire in the east, Charles the Hammer, or Charles Martel, was able to keep the Muslims out of Europe. And this is about in the 8th century, so the 730s. Now, his heir, Charles the Great, or Charlemagne, was crowned the first Holy Roman Emperor. And so he was kind of famous and significant for attempting to gain political control throughout Europe, also encouraging education, although it's unclear whether he himself actually knew how to read. He was very tall, so apparently when you're very tall and very powerful and have a name like Charlemagne, you don't necessarily have to be really good at reading, but he liked the idea of more and more people valuing education as kind of a Kickstarter for the empire. And he encouraged spreading religious belief, Christianity, many times forcefully. And so Charlemagne was significant for kind of attempting at least to unite Europe back into Roman Empire-esque ways. For the most part, though, he was fairly unsuccessful after his death. His successors were fairly inept, and he didn't do anything to make sure that the empire would remain strong. So, and that brings us to the next word, which is Holy Roman Emperors, or the Holy Roman Empire. So after Charlemagne, people took this title of Holy Roman Emperor, and it was a fairly hollow title. The idea was they were the kind of this semi-spiritual and political leaders over most of Western Europe, starting with Rome in the south and working up to basically the north of France and into Germany. So this area was kind of mostly German area. But the significant thing about this is that it never was really a fully united empire. It was never really fully Roman, because most people didn't speak the Roman language, which was at the time Latin. Most people in Europe spoke Germanic or Latin influenced languages, but there's many different languages that were spoken at the time. Most people didn't pay homage to the Holy Roman Emperor. They more paid respect and homage to their local feudal lord or king. And so politically, the Holy Roman Empire was not a united place. It was not united by culture. The one thing that united everybody in this empire was um, Christianity, Roman Catholicism. So it was never really a successful thing, but the title of Holy Roman Emperor would last for quite a while throughout the Middle Ages, even though Europe was increasingly becoming more and more um, feudal, more and more dominated by feudal monarchies that started to actually splinter Europe rather than unite Europe all as one. So if we look at a modern map of Europe, you can tell that Europeans were never completely united linguistically or politically or culturally, but they have kind of had that one thing, which is Christianity. And even at the end of the Middle Ages, we see that even Christianity was splintered off and was not a fully uniting factor. So that's it for today. I'm going to go to bed, and I hope you do too. But